So this is January 3rd, 2012. I have my hot dinner right here. It's scorching my tongue, so I'm going to just take a break from eating and talk a little bit about conference realignment because it's on my mind. It's still bowl mania right now. I want to talk not necessarily how bad it is that all these teams are moving, and not how bad it is that they're losing these storied rivalries, or how bad it is that it's all fueled by money. I'm going to just talk about what the future of all these teams are that are moving to different conferences and what it has, what kind of implications it has on their future. All right, so we have a couple teams from the Big East that were recently announced that are going to the ACC, the Syracuse Orange and the Pittsburgh Panthers. Let me tell you right now, neither one of these choices are about football. It's all about basketball. And as if the ACC couldn't, you know, do with a little bit more basketball, or the Big East can do with a little bit less. I mean, these two teams are going to suck so bad at football, but the ACC is going to be the new basketball conference of the future, and it's not going to be the Big East anymore. It's going to be ACC. So that's kind of their motivation, I guess, behind it. But they're both going to be bottom feeders in football. Um, Going towards the Big 12, we have a couple different teams. We have the TCU Horned Frogs. Now, I think this is a good move. I like that it's going to bring back all those old rivalries. Instead of splitting up all these rivalries, it's actually doing the opposite. It's going to bring them together, and I think that's a good thing. West Virginia, I mean, how much further, you know, away from the Big 12, or yeah, Big 12 can you get than West Virginia? They're not even really that competitive in the Big East. Who says they're going to do anything special there? Um, Now towards the Big East, we have a bunch of teams going that direction. Let's see, we have SMU. They haven't been good since the '80s. Boise State. Is there? I don't know if it's that really big of a competition boost going from, Mountain West, from the WAC to the Mountain West to the Big East. I mean, it's just marginal differences here. We got Houston. I mean, until this year and the year back in the, I don't know, 80s or something like that, this team hasn't been really dominant. And then UCF, I don't know where that comes from. I guess it's because they need another Florida team to deal with USF, who's also equally unimpressive. A lot of these teams are just awful, going to another awful conference, except for Boise State. I think that's a good pick. It's kind of interesting. We have we have also San Diego State. Now this one's a special case. I have to dedicate a little bit of special time. They're going to the Big East and football only, and that's the funniest thing because it almost makes more sense. Except for, yeah, sure, nothing is further east, and further west than California, right? And they're going to the Big East. They're going to be so far away from everybody else. But what's funny is the Big East picked the wrong team. They picked the wrong sport. If the Aztecs were able to go for basketball, even though they would have to travel like a million miles to go to their different conference games, it would almost make more sense because they're more competitive. But their football team, I don't know, when's the last time they ever won a conference? I mean, these guys are so bad. They were always a laughingstock of the Mountain West, and they're not going to be any better now. I think that's a stupid pick. And the Big West is getting them in basketball and all their other sports. And that's equally stupid because the Big West sucks in basketball. This is such a stupid decision. They were so much more competitive when they were in the Mountain West. At least they had a chance at winning the basketball, or sorry, winning the football. It's unlikely that they're going to win football, but at least they had a chance. And they were at least going to be dominant in basketball. Well, now they're going to be dominant in the Big West, but that's just by default because all those other teams suck. So anyway, that's a stupid thing. We have some teams from the WAC that are being split apart. We have the Hawaii Warriors. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It's from WAC to the Mountain West. It's not that big of it. It's just marginal. Same with Fresno State and Nevada. I mean, Nevada's kind of on the rise, but I don't take them seriously yet. I mean, Mountain West is not going to be, a fantastic conference anymore. They're just not. They might, maybe sometime in the next 15 years, they'll have a team that makes it to the BCS, if there's even a BCS in the future. But they're not going to be the the major, you know, the mid-major powerhouse that they've been in the past. So I don't really buy that too much. And we have a couple teams from the Big 12 going to the SEC. The Texas A&M and Missouri. Now this is the stupidest decision that either one of these teams have made. Because at least in the Big 12, they had a chance at making it to a conference, title, making it to, a BCS, because the Big 12 hasn't been as, dominant as the SEC. Now the SEC is going to have 14 teams, and, how many of those are, going to be national title contenders each year? Tons of them. And now they're going to be, one more little fish in a big pond. They're going to be just another mediocre team in the SEC that's never going to make it. At least they had a chance in the Big 12. It's so stupid. I can't believe how dumb this is. And then we have some. I don't know what to really make of all these teams. WAC got really desperate, inviting all these other teams to their conference, especially in their football only, or the football dominated picks. We have this isn't football. They have the Denver Pioneers going there. University of Denver, their basketball team is okay. I guess that makes sense. But then you have the University of Texas at San Antonio, the Road Runners. What the hell kind of team is this anyway? Road Runners. They're coming from basically, Division 1 AA. They're going to the WAC, and I guess they're not even football, but whatever. You have Seattle Redhawks. It's another basketball mediocre team. Then you have I guess the Roadrunners are going to be football, and so are the Texas State Bobcats. That's another really weird pick. These are both teams that they're just kind of migrating to the next, tier of football, and they're going in through the bottom, trying to get their way up. And then University of Texas at Arlington. Now, I understand that these guys don't have a football team. They're joining in basketball and all their other stuff. But they're going to start up a football team. I mean, I don't know. When you think of Division 1 AA, these aren't the power teams that you usually think about. I mean, at least I don't think they are. I've never really heard of them. So it's just a WAC trying to, keep afloat. Anyway, that's what I think is about this conference realignment. Most of these teams are not going to be better off because of the conference realignment. That's what I think. I think a lot of these teams are going to be worse. They had a better chance than their somewhat less, somewhat worse conference. Now they're going to have no chance, and it's going to be dumb.